DEBx, amplifying voices, accelerating change.
Please help me welcome to the stage, Pedram Owtad.
When I was 29, I immigrated from Iran to the United States. It didn't take long before I was able to settle in. I bought a condo, I started my own business, and I married my beautiful wife, whom I had been dating back in Iran, and brought her to the United States to finally be with me after being apart for 4 years. Things were going great. My business was picking up, and my wife was doing great at school. But then, everything changed. Just when we were thinking of expanding our family, we discovered that her immigration paperwork had been filed incorrectly, and she had to leave the country. We were devastated and didn't know what to do. Ultimately, we had to leave our house, move away from our families, and pause on my newly established business in order to go to a neighboring country, Canada, in hopes of returning in about a year. But after 2 years in Canada, thousands of pages of immigration paperwork, and over $40,000 of immigration and attorney fees, and hitting rock bottom financially, the US Embassy in Montreal put a stamp on my wife's passport that she was banned from entry to US for 10 years. It was sadly due to original mistake that was made by our immigration attorney, which greatly impacted the process. It was as if the sky fell in on us. Life was totally out of our control. Her student visa in Canada was up, and we were literally at a dead end. Why me? Why us? We followed every law, every procedure, and just simply wanted to be a contributing member to our community. But as time went on, the blaming and complaining got worse, and I felt weaker and more helpless and hopeless. One night, feeling completely exhausted from my 7-year battle, looking at the night stars, I imagined that there is a design. There is an order to everything in the universe. From the largest galaxies to the tiniest particles, every gravitational force and distance matters. And if there is that kind of order in the universe, perhaps there is a similar order to my life. It was then that I realized everything must be happening for a reason. And what if that is a good reason? That's when I realized that everything is happening for a good reason. This was a new thought, a radically different perspective from which I could view my life. It had me wonder, what if all these circumstances were not happening to me, but instead they were happening for me? That's when all the pieces of the puzzle started coming together, and all I could see was the miracles behind the seemingly messy circumstances that I thought I have. The new perspective gave me encouragement and strength, and I wanted to once again move forward. I told my wife we'll start from scratch, right here in Canada. I'll start a new job, we'll sell our house in the United States, and I'm no longer willing to be a victim to my circumstances. It was in this surrender where the miracles started appearing, and my life began to move forward again. My wife became pregnant with my precious son, Arvin. A great job showed up unexpectedly, and we found an amazing immigration attorney to dispute my wife's case. And finally, after 4 years in Canada, we won the case and returned back to the United States with our son. When I look back to all the misfortune I had been lamenting, I could clearly see that if If it was not for all those circumstances, my life would not be as great as it is today. My relationship with my wife is far stronger having weathered the storm together. My connections in Canada greatly helped expand my business here in the US. And we have a Canadian, American, Iranian son who knows what opportunities that will afford him. I can now clearly see that all these circumstances happened for us. What if the person who cut you off in traffic just saved you from an accident 5 minutes down the road by causing that few seconds delay? What if losing a loved one gave you enough strength to help hundreds of other lives that are in a similar hardship? What if we saw these events as they are happening for us? Unfortunately, we're not all walking around thinking like that, are we? Not really. Most of us are walking around feeling as victims in our society today, just like I was. How do I know this? I listen to what people are saying. And a lot of what I hear are complaints. We complain about our spouses. We complain about our job. We complain about our finances. We even complain about our weight. We complain about almost everything. And how do we feel when we're complaining? More than likely, we're not overtaken by joy and happiness. We are all walking around irritated, agitated, and frustrated that we don't have everything exactly as we want them to. As Rumi, a Persian Sufi and poet, says, if you are irritated by every rub, how will your mirror be polished? So what would it be like if we see life circumstances as if they are happening for us and not to us? What if we see these things as miracles necessary for us to accomplish what we need in this life's journey? I suspect if we look at life that way, it will unfold totally different. When I was 12, we had a family friend with a 21-year-old daughter, Rose, with severe autism, and she was paralyzed from the neck down. Despite this, her parents were the most optimistic and kind human beings I had ever met. I was always in awe and wonder when they moved and fed their daughter around with such care and love. Just imagine how different things would have been and what would have happened to Rose if her parents viewed her as a burden, as a terrible circumstance that had happened to them. But instead, despite all these hardships, we might imagine, her parents viewed their beautiful daughter, Rose, as a miracle that was happening for them, as a gift that was there to teach them important life lessons such as patience, compassion, and love. And I can't even imagine how many people around her said the silent prayer of gratitude by comparing their lives to hers, which is pretty clear to me that was Rose's gift and miracle to the world. As Albert Einstein pretty clearly expresses, there are two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Rose and her parents were just one example of many people who saw their lives as miracles and leveraged that to make a massive difference for others. Nick Vujicic, a man without limbs, inspires people to never give up on the purpose that life has for them. Jessica Cox, the first pilot without arm, proving that you don't need wings to fly. And my very own dear friend, PJ Dixon, which transforms thousands of lives just by sharing his life story. As Forrest Gump says, life is like a box of chocolate. you'll never know what you're going to get. Sometimes life will take us through dirt roads in order to get us onto the right path or change our lives for the better. When we make a choice to see life as if it's happening for us and try to find the miracles in everything and everyone, especially the most difficult circumstances, will become our own miracle workers. So instead of seeing life as if it's happening to me, what would you see if you look at your life through the lens of, it's all happening for me? Share your best, detached from the outcome, and you'll find the miracles of life are unfolding for you. Thank you.